The pursuit of growth can sometimes blend with a subtle feeling of inadequacy. You don't notice it, but every time you harshly correct yourself, your vibrational field contracts. The energy of worthiness weakens. Your self-love vibration becomes fragmented. Maybe this question has already whispered inside you during quiet moments. Am I truly worthy of what I desire? You keep correcting everything you think, feel, or do, as if your very existence is constantly under invisible judgment. This silent cycle has a name: spiritual self-sabotage. It's when you become a slave to a spirituality that demands perfection, when in truth your soul just wants to be fully accepted. You are already enough, spiritually, energetically, humanly, not because you've eliminated all your flaws, but because you are complete even in your imperfection. In today's video, you'll understand why constant self-criticism sabotages your energy, how to reverse the invisible belief of inadequacy, and most importantly, how to shift your emotional vibration with practical and immediate self-acceptance. So take a deep breath. Stay with me until the end. Every thought must be analyzed, every emotion redirected, every impulse controlled. And little by little, without realizing it, you stop living and start observing yourself as if you're always in debt to your own conscience. But what's behind this silent need for constant correction? Many times, it comes from the belief that spiritual growth requires emotional perfection. It's a subtle but powerful idea that we will only be worthy of the light when we are clean, pure, immaculate, as if there were an invisible ideal to be reached. And everything that still pulses as imperfect in us, fear, doubt, anger, sadness, must be corrected or eliminated. That's where the spiritual ego takes hold. It doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you exhausted, because now it uses the very language of light to keep you on alert. You can't feel anger, you can't have doubts, you can't make mistakes. You correct yourself internally all the time, but you call it discernment. But in reality, it's judgment. Spirituality doesn't demand purity. It demands presence. The higher self doesn't want you to erase your shadows. It wants you to integrate them, because everything that's rejected within you grows stronger in silence, while everything that's welcome dissolves in the light of awareness. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to be, allow the full truth of what vibrates inside you, even when that truth doesn't seem pretty or aligned or elevated. When you stop correcting yourself, you start healing. There is a voice that settled inside you so early it now feels like it's your own. It's present when you hesitate to accept compliments, when you feel guilty for resting, or when you sabotage yourself just as something starts to go well. This voice is a program, silent, persistent, and old. It was formed through small accumulated experiences. Words from your parents, looks at school, unconscious rejections, subtle traumas. It was reinforced culturally, spiritually, emotionally. And today, it lives in you as an invisible mental code, the belief of not being enough. Neuroscience calls this emotional memory, a pattern repeated so many times that it becomes automatic, like software running in the background of your mind. But the real impact of this belief isn't just psychological. It's vibrational. Every time you believe you need to be more in order to be worthy, your energetic field contracts. Your frequency of worthiness weakens. The electromagnetic field of your heart loses coherence. And in that state, you can't receive because deep down you don't believe you deserve it. Even when you manifest good things, there's a part of you that sabotages, delays, or walks away, because the inner vibration still says, "This is too much for me." But that is not your truth. It's conditioning, an echo of old voices that never recognized your light. And it can only be broken from the inside out, not through effort but through awareness. It's about feeling in your body that you are already whole, and from that feeling, reprogramming the vibration of your reality. There comes a point in the spiritual journey when the sincere pursuit of transformation starts to slip into a dangerous pattern: constant self-pressure. And instead of healing, it begins to harm, as if, no matter how aware you are, you're still falling short of where you should be. This is a type of self-sabotage that few people notice because it hides within spirituality itself. You believe you're evolving, when in fact you're just reinforcing the idea that there's something fundamentally wrong with you. Spiritual self-sabotage corrodes from within because it mixes expansion with punishment. As if to receive love, abundance, or connection, you first need to fix yourself. But that logic is distorted. Authentic spirituality doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. It's not about becoming someone new to be worthy. It's about recognizing that what you're looking for is already available, but it can only manifest when you stop judging yourself and start including yourself. Every time you criticize yourself for feeling sad, blame yourself for reacting emotionally, or get frustrated for not vibrating right, you create an incoherence between who you are and who you think you should be. And this directly affects your energy system. The solar plexus center, connected to your sense of identity, starts to lose strength. The heart chakra gradually closes, making it harder to connect with love, with worthiness, with others, and with yourself. Constant self-criticism interferes with your energetic confidence. You start to doubt your own intuition, mistrust your most authentic impulses, and slowly disconnect from your natural flow. The truth is, you can't sustain a high vibration while in a state of constant self-judgment. Because judging yourself creates resistance, and resistance lowers your frequency. Self-knowledge is not a correction technique. It's a tool for reconnection. When you understand this, you begin to treat yourself more gently, even in moments of imbalance. And it's that shift in attitude that brings real transformation to your field. It's not strict control of the mind that raises your energy. It's the sincere welcoming of what is present. Most people seek healing the same way they seek repair, as if something inside them is broken, waiting to be fixed by a technique, a practice, or a new awareness. But there's a blind spot in that approach. You can't heal what you still reject. And that's why self-acceptance is often the missing ingredient in the transformation process. Accepting yourself is not the end of the journey. It's when you stop treating pain as failure and begin to see it as a signal. It's when you stop pressuring yourself for still feeling fear or insecurity and start listening to what those emotions are trying to show you. Self-acceptance has a specific vibration. It reorganizes your field. When you accept what you feel without fighting the sensation, your nervous system slows down. The body exits the threat state. Energy begins to flow again. In quantum physics, the collapse of the wave function, the point where reality manifests, is determined by the observer. And the quality of that observation matters. If you observe yourself with rejection, you reinforce the frequency of lack. If you observe yourself with acceptance, you realign your energy with full presence and the field of worthiness. True healing doesn't happen when you eliminate your flaws. It happens when you become able to be with them without getting lost in them. Not because you forced a higher state, but because you stopped resisting what was already there. Only those who learn to accept themselves, even before change happens, can change with stability. The body holds memories. If for years you felt undeserving of love, success, rest, affection, your nervous system learned to live in restraint. Even if today your mind says, "I deserve it," your body is still operating in "I can't" mode. That's why worthiness needs to be felt, not as a concept, but as a physical, vibrational, embodied experience. The body needs to recognize that it is safe to receive. Now, try something simple, but energetically powerful. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Relax your jaw. Feel the weight of your body where it is. Place one hand on the center of your chest, the other on your abdomen, and say mentally with presence, "I don't need to do anything else to deserve being here. I allow myself to receive. It is safe to feel enough." Stay there for a few seconds. Notice the sensations. Maybe discomfort arises. Maybe relief. Both are valid. Because the body is relearning. It's accessing new vibrational information, and that takes a moment of courage. This simple practice, done with awareness, can be repeated anytime you feel disconnected from your center. It's not about convincing the ego. It's about training the body to trust again in the act of receiving without guilt. Remember, worthiness is not a reward. It is a frequency, and it begins to stabilize when you give it permission to exist, not just in your mind, but in your entire system. Most of the weight you carry doesn't come from what you feel, but from how you react to what you feel. This cycle of emotional rejection is what blocks your self-esteem at its core. Self-esteem isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about having enough confidence to welcome even the moments when you don't feel okay. It's about stopping the use of spirituality as an emotional filter and starting to treat it as a safe space to be whole. Liberation begins with one gesture: stopping the resistance. True emotional transmutation doesn't happen through control. It happens through presence. Energy begins to flow more lightly, and self-esteem, once trapped by self-criticism, starts to rebuild from the acceptance of what is. This is true inner power, the ability to be with everything you feel without identifying with any of it. That's where real strength is born. There is no self-love without emotional reconciliation. And there is no vibrational self-esteem without releasing the judgment you've learned to turn against yourself. Your higher self never needed you to fix yourself. It doesn't operate through idealizations. It operates through presence. And presence is the point where everything connects. Emotion, body, soul, energy. You begin to feel spiritually enough when you stop trying to reach some ideal version of yourself, and choose instead to be whole in who you are right now. With everything you feel, everything still unresolved, everything still in progress. This sense of return doesn't come from the mind. It's energetic. It's a quiet peace that arises when you stop trying to prove something to God, to the universe, to yourself, and simply inhabit who you already are. The field recognizes this. When you vibrate wholeness, everything around you begins to reorganize. Not because you've finally become spiritual enough, but because you stopped resisting your own nature. What truly transforms is acceptance. It's the courage to look within and say, I recognize myself. And when you stop constantly correcting yourself, something shifts in your field. The vibration stabilizes. You begin to attract experiences that reflect your worth, not because you earned them, but because you finally allowed yourself to receive. So, if this message touched something inside you, acknowledge what you feel, and say with presence, I am already enough. If this content helped you, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. See you in the next video. Be well, be whole, be with yourself.